I was signing up for the traditional painting competition when comments suddenly started scrolling across my vision. Here we go. The first love comes back, steals the main character's artwork, and then gets exposed and humiliated, her reputation completely destroyed. Even though the male lead and his first love were childhood sweethearts, they haven't seen each other in like 8 years. That's no match for a couple that's together all the time. First love? Please. Sunny is a villain at best. Don't disgrace the term first love like that. Candy, dressed in a style I used to favor, approached me. Hi, I'm Candy from the class next door, she said. I've heard you're an amazing artist, and I've always wanted to meet you. I never thought we'd run into each other at the same competition. I gave her a cool nod, but after the competition, a red-eyed Candy grabbed me and demanded an answer. You swapped my artwork, didn't you? Don't you feel any guilt for winning with such a dirty trick? The male lead, Brandon Carter, furrowed his brow so intensely you could have crushed a fly between them. Go to the committee and withdraw yourself from the competition. You don't deserve to be in the finals. As everyone stared at me with contempt, I pointed to the worst piece on the wall and asked, confused, what did I win? I came in dead last. I'm not even going to the finals. The comments scrolled wildly across my vision. OMG, what is happening? Kenny shot back in disbelief. Aren't you supposed to be some kind of artistic genius? How could you have painted that piece of garbage? Brandon, who had pretended not to know me when I signed up, now grabbed my wrist. Sonny, you've been painting since you were a kid, and you studied abroad for 8 years. How could you possibly be in last place? I was speechless for a moment. Since he recognized me, he should have known. I've always been an oil painter, not a traditional painter. I only entered because my parents mentioned Brandon was one of the judges. They wanted me to give him a little surprise. I just signed up to have some fun, with no intention of placing at all. I never expected to be blindsided by these comments right after registering. You're clearly a serial offender. All those awards you won before must have been stolen, right? I grew up with you, and I can't just stand by and let you continue down this path. For a moment, I was completely lost, baffled by the string of accusations he was rattling off. Since when have I ever stolen anything from anyone? Besides Brandon and I, we only met a few times because our father's companies worked together, and the last time was 8 years ago. How does that count as growing up together? Brandon had already declared me guilty. You need to withdraw from this competition right now, hold a press conference, and give back all the honors that aren't yours. If you don't force me to call off our engagement. His grip was incredibly strong. He dragged me several steps before I could even try to pull away. I asked, completely bewildered, engagement? My parents had never mentioned any engagement to me. They always told me I could date whomever I wanted. What on earth was Brandon talking about? In Brandon's eyes, my confused expression registered as fear. A flicker of contempt crossed his face. If my parents hadn't told me to look out for you, I wouldn't even give you the time of day. With tears glistening on her cheeks, Candy made a show of backing down. If she's not going to admit it, then let's just drop it. It's only one competition. There's always next year. I didn't even have a chance to repeat that I was in last place and hadn't cheated. Brandon, eager to play the hero, stepped in front of Candy. Your family is struggling. You were counting on the prize money from this competition to pay your tuition. If you wait until next year, you'll have already dropped out of school. He gritted his teeth, his face a mask of anguish. You're just too proud. I told you I could help you with money, but you insisted on doing it all yourself. You're so different from all those spoiled, pampered princesses. The comments flew across the screen. Can't his first love tell he's talking about her? Just withdraw already and give the first prize back to our girl. The only reason he sponsored this competition was for her, just so he could be a judge. Arguing is pointless. Once they check the security footage, it's all over. The first love is about to get canceled. Our girl comes from a poor family and has to work to get through school. She has it so tough. I glanced at the Cartier bracelet on Candy's wrist, worth $5,000, her $8,000 Dior dress, and the $600 clip in her hair. I furrowed my brow in confusion. A struggling family? Working her way through school? Were they talking about Candy? She was dressed more like an heiress than I was. And I'm the actual heiress. Any art student knows you're bound to get paint on your clothes. That's why most of us wear cheap clothes that can take a stain. But Candy, Watching the comments praise Candy's supposed work ethic, I was at a complete loss for words. Before I could say a word, Candy's tears started to fall. I know a rich girl like you doesn't care about the prize money, but for me, it's a full year of tuition. I really, truly need it. Her eyes red. She suddenly dropped to her knees in front of me. I know you swapped the paintings because you wanted to win. You can have the title. I don't care. But please, can you just give me the prize money? If you wanted to ghostwrite paintings for you in the future, just ask. You don't have to resort to stealing. If I agreed with her, I'd be admitting guilt on the spot. I try to keep my voice even. As far as I know, tuition is about $1,200 a year. You could pay for it by selling any one of the luxury items you're wearing. Besides, I have no interest in winning a traditional painting competition, so I would never steal someone's work. Candy's face froze for a second before she turned to Brandon with a wounded look. These aren't things I bought for myself. They were gifts, and they mean too much to me. I would rather starve than sell something so sentimental. I just want to make a living with my own two hands, through my art. I'm not trying to take the title from you, I swear. Please, just give me the prize money. She cried until her voice was hoarse, and Brandon looked at her, deeply moved. You foolish girl. The other contestants around us started chiming in. Candy is on her knees begging you. What more do you want? I can't stand these trust fund kids who think they can just steal other people's work because they have money. Making her return the money isn't enough. She needs to be disqualified. The comments filled with righteous fury. Can this witch just drop dead? She made our girl kneel. Poor Candy. Good thing the male lead is here to expose her and get the title back for the real winner. The best part is coming up. The hero never forgets how she was wronged. He pretends to date his first love, then ditches her on their engagement day. Her whole family is humiliated, their company's stock crashes, and he buys it all up, driving her awful parents to bankruptcy and suicide. I stared at that last comment, my vision blurring with rage. A comment screamed, "Whoa, she can't see these, can she?" I quickly looked away, pretending I hadn't seen a thing. When I didn't react, the comments settled down again. How could the villains see the comments? The user above is nuts. She's just a stepping stone for the main characters. Her whole family deserves to die. A bitter rage churned inside me. I had never hurt anyone in my life. Why should I be sacrificed to pave the way for Brandon and Candy's romance? And why should it lead to my family's company going bankrupt and my parents taking their own lives? People helped Candy to her feet, all of them vowing to report me for plagiarism. Brandon went a step further and called over the committee organizers. I want to file a report. Someone here swapped paintings and stole another person's work. Candy lowered her head, looking for all the world like the victim of a terrible injustice. The judges in charge of scoring all looked very serious. The entire painting session was recorded on camera. It's impossible for anyone to have swapped a piece. Candy suddenly looked up, her eyes red, and pointed an accusing finger at a long-haired female teacher in the front. Mrs. Davis, you're best friends with Sonny's mother, so of course you protect her. We didn't even say who did it, yet you're already jumping to cover for someone. Isn't that a little obvious? Brandon added pressure, his voice cold. Mrs. Davis, I sponsored this competition with $500,000, and it wasn't to watch you play favorites. My prize money must go to the person who deserves it. The other contestants started murmuring among themselves. I can't believe one of the judges is best friends with Sonny's mom. No wonder she had a chance to switch the paintings. That's such a dirty move. So much for being a high society girl. She's nothing but a parasite feeding on hard-working people. Candy stared defiantly at Mrs. Davis. I demand a review of the artwork, and I demand that Mrs. Davis, who is clearly biased, recuse herself immediately. Mrs. Davis didn't get a chance to speak before I cut in. What right do you have to demand a review? And what right do you have to demand Mrs. Davis step down? Do you have any idea how much extra work your baseless accusations are creating for the staff? You talk a big game about being from a poor family, but you seem to have no problem making life harder for other working people. Mrs. Davis is my mother's friend. Yes, but she did not cover for me. If you want her removed, you'll have to provide some actual proof. It was one thing for Candy to slander me with her wild accusations, but dragging the innocent Mrs. Davis into it was just cruel. Mrs. Davis's husband had kidney failure and was living on dialysis. She had refused my mother's offer to help, insisting she would cover the thousands of dollars in monthly medical bills on her own. Because of that, she treasured every job she had and never once complained about how hard she worked. I couldn't let Candy get away with this. Hearing me defend Mrs. Davis, Brandon suddenly laughed. Getting nervous, are we? Are you afraid that a review will expose your pathetic little scheme? Candy clenched her fists as if she had reached her breaking point. At first, all I wanted was for you to return the prize money so I could pay my tuition and stay in school. But you've pushed me too far. You have to pay for what you've done. She pulled out her phone and made a call to the National Arts Council. I want to file a formal complaint. Sonny Johnson colluded with Judge Sarah Davis during the competition, stealing my artwork to win the preliminary round. I demand Mrs. Davis be fired immediately and that my property be returned to me. The other students cheered, all of them waiting to watch me be humiliated. The comments went wild. This is epic. Our girl is such a boss. She finally made the call. They're sending investigators. The villain is about to have her career ended. Brandon stared at me, his eyes cold as ice. I'll give you one last chance to come clean before the investigators get here. Candy added, in a tone that suggested she was doing me a favor. Once this blows up, you'll lose a lot more than just a preliminary title. The comments gushed over Candy. She's so kind, still giving the villain a chance to back down. She's too good of a person. That's why she won't get together with him, because of his stupid engagement. These two sweethearts can't be together because of that awful villain. He has to practically beg her just to accept a gift from him. These comments made me seriously question the collective IQ of the viewers. If Candy were as kind as they claimed, she wouldn't be stringing along a guy she knew was engaged. Her so-called rejections were just her playing hard to get. You could tell from her expensive wardrobe that Brandon must have spent a fortune on her. Believing she actually needed that prize money for tuition was just embarrassing for everyone involved. I gave him a cold look and stated again. I wouldn't stoop to stealing someone's work to win a championship, especially not for a minor preliminary round. The students around us started to look uncertain. That's true. This is just a local competition. Sunny usually competes internationally. Her family is loaded, and she's already a famous artist. Why would she need to cheat? What would she possibly gain? Even Brandon seemed to waver, glancing at me with a flicker of uncertainty. A sarcastic smile played on Candy's lips as she pointed a finger at me. Do you need me to spell it out for you? She's doing it for the guaranteed admission scholarship. Candy's tone was icy. You all think this is just about prize money, but the grand prize winner gets a full scholarship to a top international art academy. That's a prize you can't win anywhere else. At her words, a collective gasp went through the crowd. Brandon looked at me with disgust. Even if you cheat your way into a top academy, you won't last. Besides, everyone is about to see you for who you really are. Seeing my calm expression, Brandon pointed a finger at me. You're determined to do this the hard way. A group of officials in uniforms walked over, one holding a flash drive. This contains the complete video footage of the painting session. We're here to clear things up. The man in charge looked at me. You're Sonny Johnson, the one who was reported? I'll ask you one last time. Did you steal another person's artwork to secure a scholarship? Candy and Brandon's eyes were gleaming with triumph, waiting for the footage to play so they could watch me get exposed. I rolled my eyes and threw my hands up in exasperation at the official. I was granted early admission last year. Why would I need to cheat to get into a school I'm already in? As soon as the words left my mouth, the entire room went silent. New comments started to pop up. What admission? I thought she came back to go to the same college as the hero. That painting she did was worse than my kid's scribbles. How could she get early admission anywhere? Our girl's painting was amazing, and she didn't even place. The villain definitely stole it. There's no way this is a mistake. Candy lost her composure and lunged forward, grabbing my arm. Brandon said you were never a good student, and you're terrible at traditional painting. How could you possibly get early admission? I get that you're scared, but you don't have to make up such an obvious lie. Anyone can see right through that. Brandon stared in disbelief. You're a year younger than Candy, and she's only a freshman. How could you have started college last year? If you had just admitted you came back to go to the same school as me, I might have actually respected you a little. Hearing this, the other students glared at me with even more hostility. Brandon is her childhood friend. You would definitely know if she got into a top academy. Yeah, she's obviously just making excuses. I fell silent. Brandon didn't even know I was an oil painter. How would he know I'd been accepted to college early? I scoffed. We haven't spoken in 8 years. What kind of childhood friend is that? Brandon's face darkened with embarrassment, but he quickly doubled down. You're just mad I didn't see you off at the airport 8 years ago, so you've been giving me this silent treatment. Did you really think I was going to chase after you like some desperate loser? Let me tell you, that was never going to happen. I'm only interested in a relationship where the feelings are mutual. As he spoke, the comments flooded my vision. OMG, so sweet. He's totally confessing his love for her. Does the villain seriously think he's talking about her? LOL. This is amazing. He's declaring his love for her in front of everyone. The villain needs to take a hike. The official was growing impatient. Miss Johnson, a scholarship isn't something you can just claim to have. Please cooperate with the investigation. Candy's face was alight with glee. Sonny, everything you've stolen, you'll have to give back eventually. Brandon stood beside Candy, a protective arm around her. Looking at the happy couple, I remembered the image of Brandon's parents, smiling sheepishly as they begged my own parents for help. The Carter family's company stock was in free fall. They had lost over $100 million this month alone. If my parents hadn't stepped in to help them for old time's sake, they would have already gone bankrupt. My parents had originally wanted me to see if there was anything between Brandon and me, to give dating a try if I was interested. I never imagined he'd turn out to be such a fool, completely wrapped around the finger of a fake like her. I clicked my tongue and shook my head. Believe what you want. If you're going to investigate, do it quickly. I have to get home for dinner. My nonchalant attitude only enraged the crowd further. What's she so arrogant about? She's just a spoiled brat living off her family's money. They call her a genius artist overseas? What a joke. She's a total fraud. She's not fit to stand in the same room as Candy. The real artists are starving while fakes like her get all the glory. This world is so unfair. Candy looked at the crowd, her eyes filled with tears of gratitude. Thank you all for defending me. I don't know what to say. I swear I'll find a way to repay you all one day. This only strengthened their conviction, and they turned to the officials, shouting in unison. We demand you release the video. Everyone needs to see Sonny Johnson's disgusting behavior. A flicker of hesitation crossed Brandon's face before he turned to me. If you confess now, we can still contain this. But if they release that video and it goes viral, your family's reputation will be ruined. I looked at Brandon like he was an idiot. The innocent have nothing to fear. Candy burst into tears of frustration. You're the one who stole my painting. How dare you say you're innocent? The official wasted no more time. Very well. Let's let everyone see the truth. The video of the art session began to play, and all eyes immediately fell on me. On the screen, I was holding my brush, staring blankly at the canvas for a long time, even glancing over at Candy's work a few times. The comments were merciless. Sonny keeps looking at her painting. She's totally trying to copy it. She probably doesn't even have the skill to copy it, which is why she had to steal the whole thing. Meanwhile, Candy was painting with effortless grace, never once looking in my direction. The comments were full of praise. Our girl doesn't need to look at anyone else's work. She's a natural. With a few deft strokes, she painted a vibrant, lifelike peony. The butterfly she added seemed to shimmer, as if it might fly right off the canvas. Just as Candy was adding her finishing touches, I was only just beginning. The crowd held its breath, watching my every move. I calmly took a sip of water and kept watching the screen. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, I picked up my brush and painted a small chick pecking at the ground. The messy flowers I added next to it made several people laugh out loud. This is the work of a famous artist? A chicken pecking at the ground? Those flowers look like they were drawn by a dog. My 3-year-old niece could do better than that. This is kindergarten-level work. The comments erupted in laughter. The hero loves talented, artistic women. The villain has been faking her way as a genius for years, and she's finally been exposed. Our girl's painting is so good. It's 1,000,000 times better than the villain's. It's obvious who the real artist is. The villain's career is over. The video stopped. Brandon paused it, his eyes icy. Do you have anything else to say? Candy's eyes shone, as if she could already picture my downfall. Sunny, it's all out in the open now. What could you possibly have to say for yourself? The other students chimed in to support Candy. Candy's piece was the best one here by far. She deserved first place. There's no way she didn't even pass the first round. I always thought I was a pretty good artist, but seeing Candy's work makes me feel like a total amateur. Bolstered by the crowd's support, Candy turned to the official with confidence. Can you please correct the results now? I demand that Sunny Johnson be banned from all future competitions, and that her accomplice be permanently expelled from this institution. Mrs. Davis's eyes widened in disbelief. Candy, the video shows I did absolutely nothing. On what grounds are you demanding my expulsion? Being permanently blacklisted from an academic institution is a career-ending stain on a teacher's record. Brandon's expression was grim. You brought this on yourselves. A few students had started a live stream the moment the video started playing, and now thousands of people were watching online. An avalanche of hateful comments was directed at me, and people were even flooding my family's corporate Twitter page with abuse. Candy looked at me smugly, her voice dripping with superiority. Sunny, as one woman to another, I don't want to make this harder for you. Just apologize to me publicly and promise you'll never plagiarize again, and I can forgive you. I allowed a cold laugh. Candy, why don't you take another look at what exactly you painted? My defiant tone shocked the room. Candy was so angry she was speechless. What is that supposed to mean? Brandon's tone was mocking. What's wrong? Can't handle being exposed? Candy's painting is a masterpiece compared to yours. Your drawing is the real piece of trash. Candy buried her face in Brandon's chest, sobbing. Brandon, I can't believe she's still trying to put me down, even now. I scoffed internally and hit play on the video again. The image zoomed in, stopping on Candy's painting of the butterfly and peony. People started murmuring. What's wrong with the painting? It's beautiful. Yeah, it was definitely the best one. I didn't say a word. I just rewound the video to the very beginning, focusing on the blackboard. Candy, if you didn't win, maybe you should ask yourself why. Your painting is very good, but did you happen to see the theme of today's competition? There on the blackboard, in large, bold letters, was a single word. Peony. The comments exploded. What does that mean? Did she paint the wrong subject? OMG. The theme was peony? But she painted a peony. Wait, I didn't even realize there was a theme today. The color drained from Candy's face, and a cold sweat broke out on her back. The moment she walked in, her eyes had been locked on me. She never even glanced at the board. She had seen everyone else painting peonies and assumed the theme was something generic like Queen of Flowers, so she decided to paint a different kind of peony to stand out. What's more, the blackboard was on my side of the room. She had deliberately avoided looking in my direction to avoid any suspicion that she was copying my work. The crowd fell completely silent, at a loss for words. Mrs. Davis addressed Candy, her face stern. Your painting was technically excellent. The other judges and I all gave it very high marks. Judge Carter even gave you a perfect score. But despite that, you couldn't win. Because you painted the wrong subject, you were disqualified. Candy screamed, shaking her head. Impossible. Even if I was disqualified, what about Sunny? Her painting was terrible. How could she possibly have placed? Mrs. Davis looked exasperated. There were 108 contestants today. Besides you, everyone else was ranked. Sunny's ranking is on the public notice board. Hearing her words, I couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed myself. Everyone turned to the notice board, where my painting of the little chick was prominently displayed. Next to it, in clear print, it said, Last place. I looked at Mrs. Davis helplessly. Mrs. Davis, you didn't have to put me on blast like that. That's a little harsh. She shot me a weary look. It was so spectacularly bad that the judges were laughing until they cried. If I didn't know for a fact that you've never been good at this style, I would have thought you were trying to troll the competition. Mrs. Davis then took the opportunity to address the crowd. In the future, let's try to keep the submissions above the chicken pecking at the ground level. It creates a lot of extra work for the staff. I felt like I had been both vindicated and roasted at the same time. After a long pause, the comments started up again. So, the main character basically shot herself in the foot. Didn't she say she had proof? Where is it? Yeah. Were they just making all of this up? Don't forget, the villain is supposed to be a genius artist overseas. But her real skill is this bad? Even if she didn't cheat this time, she must have cheated to get her reputation. As if thinking the same thing, Candy grabbed my wrist, her eyes red with fury. Fine, I admit I painted the wrong subject. But you're not innocent either. She turned on Mrs. Davis. You just said she's never been good at this style of painting. So how did she get this reputation as a genius artist? You know the truth, don't you? And you're still covering for her. You're a disgrace to your profession. No wonder your husband got sick. It's karma. Mrs. Davis was so furious, she raised her hand to slap her, but she managed to restrain herself. The only reason I'm not hitting you is because you are my student. It doesn't mean you're right. I, however, had no such reservations. I stepped forward and slapped her hard across the face. Maybe that will clean out your filthy mouth. Candy went berserk and lunged at me, but Mrs. Davis grabbed her arm. Mrs. Davis pulled out her phone, typed my name into a search engine, and held the screen up for everyone to see. Open your eyes and look. Sunny Johnson is a realist oil painter. She has studied oil painting her entire life. Candy froze, looking as if she'd been struck by lightning. Brandon grabbed my arm, his face a mask of disbelief. You're an oil painter? Why didn't I know that? I yanked my arm free from his grasp. Why would I need to inform you of what I study? Who are you to me? Just as Brandon was about to reply, another voice cut in. Sonny, what are you doing here? Everyone turned to see the world-renowned abstract artist, Carl. I offered him a small smile. Carl, good to see you. Hearing me call him by his first name so casually, Brandon looked even more flustered. So you really were admitted early? I thought you were coming back here for college. Candy watched Brandon's attention fixated on me, her eyes burning with resentment. A comment quietly appeared on the screen. Let's be real. If you have money, you study abroad. You don't stay here. Before I could respond, Carl had already stepped between me and Brandon. Grabbing a lady like that is not very gentlemanly. Please give her some space. The university president, who was trailing behind Carl, broke out in a cold sweat. This was the major artist he had invited to host an exhibition. Brandon Carter, Candy Miller. What is the meaning of this commotion? The official quickly went over to explain the situation to the president. After hearing the full story, the forced smile on the president's face began to twitch. Carl turned to me. The president mentioned you were planning an exhibition here as well, which is part of why I came. My mentor told me to look out for you. I gave Carl a helpless look. I'm a local here. Shouldn't I be the one looking out for you? Besides, this is the first I'm hearing about me holding an exhibition here. I looked at the president, completely confused. The president looked mortified. I heard from my staff that you had entered our traditional painting competition, and I assumed you were scouting our university. Brandon started to speak, but was silenced by a sharp glare from the president. Mr. Carter, the $500,000 you sponsored will be returned to you in full by our finance department. Now, please leave immediately and do not harass our honored guest. Candy stared at the president defiantly. So whoever is more famous is automatically right? Her comments sent the chat into another frenzy. But this time, they weren't on her side. Is Candy insane? All the evidence is right there. Sunny didn't do anything, and all her past awards were legitimate. Candy must have a serious victim complex. Sunny is rich, beautiful, and talented. Why would she ever need to frame someone like her? Brandon's family has been struggling for years. The reason he didn't study abroad was because they couldn't afford the tuition. That $500,000 he used to sponsor the competition, he embezzled it from a company project. Just as that comment appeared, Brandon's parents stormed into the room, their faces livid. His father walked straight up to him and slapped him across the face. What did you do with that $500,000 from the project fund? Do you have any idea that the company is on the verge of bankruptcy? And you're still throwing money around like this? Brandon's mother then spotted the necklace around Candy's neck, a piece that was originally hers, and she lunged. She grabbed a handful of Candy's hair. You're the little tramp who's been bleeding my son dry, aren't you? He bought you all of this, didn't he? Get it back. I knew something was wrong. He's been spending money like crazy for months, embezzling millions from the company. You're going to bankrupt us, you little gold digger. I'm going to sue you. Give back every penny. Candy tried to dodge her, crying, Your son forced it all on me. I never wanted any of it. If you didn't want it, then get it back. I can't. I already sold it all. Brandon stared at Candy in disbelief. You told me you would cherish it forever, that you would never sell it. The comments were a stream of insults. Wow, Candy is a pathological liar, and she's supposed to be the hero of this story. If she sold it all, why didn't she have money for tuition? She was obviously just playing the victim to get his sympathy. And he's an idiot too. His family is going bankrupt, and instead of trying to save it, he's stealing company money to impress a girl. Pathetic. You know what? The villain is actually the best one in this story. She's rich, but she works hard and creates her own success. What villain? From now on, Sunny is the main character for me. I second that. Candy tried to run, but Brandon's mother held her fast. Brandon's father was landing punch after punch on his son. You ungrateful brat. I'm going to kill you today. Not wanting the chaos to continue, the president had the finance office immediately wire the money back. Then he turned to me and Carl with an apologetic smile. Perhaps we could find a quieter place to continue our discussion. Carl and I exchanged a smile before I politely addressed the president. Perhaps another time. My housekeeper has dinner ready, so I'm going to take Carl home to eat. Mrs. Davis took off her staff ID. President, given the institution's failure to follow its own procedures, which goes against the principles I believe in, I'm afraid I must resign. She came to my side. You know, I think I'm going to take your mother up on her offer to help run her company. Being a teacher is just too difficult. I wanted so badly to slap that girl, but I had to restrain myself because of my position. He smiled here. That just shows you're a true professional. After what Candy said about her sick husband, she deserved it. Carl leaned in, asking what was for dinner, practically drooling. Behind us, the sounds of Brandon and Candy's miserable cries faded away. Just then, my mom sent me a photo via iMessage, and I showed it to him. Carl's eyes went wide. Is this what you call a royal feast? It's not that fancy, I laughed. Just a few of my favorite dishes. My parents had prepared a special welcome home meal for me. A new comment quietly scrolled by. Does anyone else ship Carl and Sunny? He's handsome, she's beautiful, and they're both genius artists. Can't a guy and a girl just be friends? I ignored the comments. When I got home, I made sure to warn my parents to be more cautious in their business dealings and not to be taken in by so-called old friends. They didn't understand why, but they nodded. Whatever you say, sweetie. We'll be careful. That night, Brandon and Candy were trending on Twitter. The video of them trying to force me, the person who came in last place, to confess to cheating went viral. My parents were furious. That little punk. We thought he was a decent kid, but he was helping some stranger bully our daughter. The internet was having a field day, quoting me. What did I win? I came in dead last. I'm not even going to the finals. Seriously, did these two not do a single bit of research on Sunny before they try to frame her? This is like accusing Jeff Bezos of stealing a homeless person's lunch money. It's absurd. My parents finally understood my warning and cut all ties with the Carter family. Less than 6 months later, the Carter's company officially declared bankruptcy. And at some point, the comments scrolling across my vision disappeared for good. It wasn't until the year I graduated when a speeding car came hurtling toward me and Carl frantically pulled me into his arms that they returned. The comments scrolled furiously across my vision. Here we go. It's a romance novel. A power couple. He's strong, but she's even stronger. This is what I'm here for. The handsome, blonde artist and the gorgeous, dark-haired heiress. They're perfect for each other.